We know these things because at this point, the evidence is overwhelming. And we know that it's the big banks calling all the shots for their Great Reset, which they claim is a transhumanist utopia, a cure to climate change. But who knows? What we all instinctively know is how to stop them. For Infowars.com, this is Greg Reese.
Na wo hwe eye COVID-19 program director asemo a ono ankasa eka se we sa COVID vaccine kra no enya vaccine ebebu adipo vaccine ebe wiki na immune system wa ne empani for mo se mo be mandatory se enwa se bi utafracha asemi mahu bi ana amati bi na mabu mani agu se sel yenwo ene first question mi bisa mo de to so bi nu bu ye huntre ye begu so se one more or they say more vaccine be no or say 20% for say 20 times patient or more will be in say cancer crash and so cost increasing 20 times, right? A biano so mama we say enya vaccine could be wo pa now share a year element be wo a homo akra na any element crop na ba ni padua ma e sanke ka no ne be wiki immune system wa bi busa say a year health advisor to the president, a year president director of Ghana Health Service, a year minister for health. Sani pa mi say nyi bia no ense mo munim ana se munim pa na so no mo sha say yenwa na kra mo si booster saba o mama wo ne ba akudi mi ni sa me won ka ho ne dia so dia nka mo twitwa me nyina nka so ni mu ofa the kasa me kan ha no ma no na chia ko si ba booster ye ho ju ne ye be ko ayo edia immune system any say no na oba de nso ma ye hu say immune system we did ye na fa hu su ya na strong we are strong any friend say a soldier form win pedua ni mu no enti no say na ye say enko di booster shot ansa na ye ho ato ye dia na oba de kan say ye ni di because COVID ba kra o man fanyi kan se yeni dawa yeni kontomre yeni nyadoa o se yeni ya yeni na ne local food nkwanhwehwa ne ho nyade what is true because we share Ghana the compare other African countries bi ne ade atimi se yare no abade bati gira brane e won kum it is a standard here there why the booster shot but not our dawa kontomre nkwanhwehwa nyadoa potam fe so I dey friend potam fe no adoba de o dey kan mami na me tai daily graphic of na me ma ta me bre me suro kra daily graphic man suro ko ku don fa ma ayeka memory no buy ma serious candidate we as a cause am sure one share dey na dey na duru no fa we no bium na dey ato fa no bium na dey ato COVID-19 booster vaccination starts today where daily graphic read by Thursday January 20th na just no chia the Ghana Health Service will begin the administration of booster doses of COVID-19 vaccines from today. The move forms part of the revision made to the national COVID-19 vaccination policy by the Ministry of Health in collaboration with stakeholders. The policy has also been revised to include the vaccination of pregnant women who will receive either Moderna or Pfizer vaccines. The Minister of Health, Mr. Kweku Agyemang-Manu, announced the review at a press conference in Accra yesterday, that is Thursday, because story we know about Thursday to Wednesday, no. Of family, baby, I'm marketing this. So now we can boost ourselves. And it's a boost and one must say, and no, now. Ever maybe we are crap me and ya, I'm wedding. Now, you did you know so? You did you know, and me and ya strong immune system. Anyway, any I can't horse it. You're going to a second video. No, Mike Adams and Dr. Judith Mikovic, Obabia, Anthony Fauci, my Vacino, a court to prison 5 years. Say now, Kanta, woman say, South Africa, only Dr. Robert Gallo, and she said, just a home bomb, and one year say, Omea Mammy,
Actually, you know, I wrote your books with you. And to come in sense of me by, you know, the can and run near you started by weapon and sense of not it issue there.
Okay.
And on Mike Adams, the Lone Ranger, at Trinko. One can use for a booster shot.
Okay. Yeah, but Korea Kwakutina, my father message you in Krem answer. I see you are indeed the fishes Yah has sent for this continent. May Yah resurrect more Israelites through you before he sends the hunters away. Wake up, Africa. This is Albert from Mankasim. Or not, Nadia, I don't know. We so I say, Israel teachers, may the great Yah protect you, and I want to join the movement. I'm Kwabena Mensa, and here Medoma, Anono, Edi Efri Ebaye. We will say, please, Yah, try to explain the videos and he reading and his readings in tree. Okay, we have gathered listening. And the time which is in your bed, 3 hours a cajon. Yate, you remember more than Kakri, you are summarizing the Achimuno, you bet him Amamo. Or say, please, good afternoon. My name is Tommy from Achem Achiase Wanda School. God bless you for education. But we have been lied and forced to take the vaccines, yet they are still telling us to wear the mask again. We are doomed, Africa. Dr. Patrick Kumabwajene, Dr. Kwikwaji, my man, ne Mpapa Nokrana Mufini, the advisor to President Sansare. Videos, you know, have come say Mike Adams and Dr. Judy, is it Nikovic? Yeah, Nikovic in conversation. And only a second video of the day, yeah, Mike Adams and Dr. Judy Mikovic in conversation. Yanko Hemra, Dr. CB Nikita Hudieno, a DNA Corso, Yanko Hemra Sisia.
Of Oracle just died over this last weekend after taking a COVID vaccine. He was only 54.
Correct. Those are the people killing my age.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. And, you know, here I am, you know, I'm in my 50s as well. And every day I'm taking nattokinase and I'm taking zinc and I'm taking vitamin D and I'm taking, well, a couple dozen different supplements and so on. And so I have confidence. I know that I can handle some exposure. If I'm around someone who's vaccinated and they're shedding or transmitting spike protein to me, for example, I know I'm not going to be killed by that. I can defend against it. But the average person, as you say, you know, living on junk food, hyper vaccinated, medicated, they've got nutrient deficiencies, they're vitamin D deficient. All of these things, all it takes is a tipping point, which it seems to be the spike protein. I want to ask you, let's talk about the spike protein now, if that's okay, because even independent from the virus itself, the spike protein is coming out as an instrument of real disease, real harm. The spike protein itself can kill you. Even the Salk Institute now admits that through their own studies. It's extraordinary.
Again, that is the disease causing agent. So why would you inject it? You don't need an infectious transmissible virus. You didn't need that monkey virus, SARS-CoV-2. It never was a human virus. It was isolated from the monkey cell line, Vero. So that's what's being injected into people is all kinds of viruses. And this is why you never get another shot, never get a flu shot. Forget the spike protein. We know it's the disease. So they literally just injected you with a synthetic lipid. That's the envelope around protecting the RNA. So a synthetic virus. They gave us all. They injected us. We didn't need to be infected. This is the whole point. You don't need an infectious transmissible virus if you injected the poison.
Right.
Protein was the poison.
But this explains the booster shots, doesn't it? Why they want booster shots, because they have to keep the spike protein circulating.
Correct. So the answer is simple. Never get another shot and we can heal the whole country. No shots. No shots, never again. Nothing they call a vaccine. No immune therapies, nothing. These drugs are deadly, and they know it. And so we have to change the way we do everything.
there was a study just published in Japanese, and we had it translated into English that talks about the biodistribution of this spike protein after it's injected via these so-called vaccines, especially with mRNA. Then your body makes the spike protein. This spike protein is circulated. It goes way beyond the injection site. It does pass through the blood-brain barrier. It attacks your neurology. It attacks reproductive organs such as the ovaries and so on. This is a bombshell. The FDA should pull all these vaccines immediately if they had any remaining shred of medical ethics.
Correct. We've known this. That's true of the flu shots every year. It's true all of the time. And this is just the deadliest of shots. So absolutely, everything needs to stop. If we had a few years ago, I called for a 5-year moratorium on all vaccines. If that had happened in 2014 or 15, if the FBI had done their job when we showed them this, if they'd stopped all of this, then we'd never have had COVID-19. And Tony Fauci knows it. That's why they're spinning this at warp speed, because once everybody's killed, the data go away.
So, Mike Adams, I'm a Judy Mikovitz and Tem. Na I will share Mike Adams, or to my main Judy, I know. Now, Mike in the castle or in fear do 54. Now, who say,
or Saturday, or can say, Echo,
sir.
No, this is
54. Very good. No, so
no, so the two they are in their 50s.
Very good. No, yes, Debiano or far a zinc, like food supplements, any idea. And when you say, or Ben will be our will be crana, and because of some food supplements, and I will take you. Udidi, to also head a dim. And I know beside my America says, have us and Senate General, a whole lot of viruses, and you couldn't pay more a bit to me high into boost about booster. No, I don't see you here boost any beam because your booster is like a additional virus. I can't hear you one or that. Until we say you beji beam. Of I am tough about
and no,
trust.
Me trust you last week. Now, Fauci done yet chin or a gas. They are back
okay.
2012, and a Bill Gates, a call third conference. And one of can say, if we see CO2, carbon dioxide, across now about 26 there tons. And if we see,
carbon dioxide. Produce okay.
Produce. Now, when we number, if you say population, also cost.
Okay.
Saturn 2012, now we see population in there 6 point something. I was say to me, near amazing vaccines. You let me at see if we see population also.
Yes.
Between 10 and 15%. Kwaku can last week. I don't know or the submission. Then
reducing the world population.
Maybe Casafonini.
Okay.
And ever and we are never Jano. Now they no one you said kind of book no we are and ya no creno. We say Bill Gates third conference as a whole can not some more or kind. Third video.
Third video no or say Bill Gates wants depopulation through vaccines. Bill Gates say if you are silly pass to a bra or the vaccines and a boss a branon. Now my message say it is very inspiring what you do. In actuality, it takes a lot of balls to write on those topics. It is a pity that majority of the populace from birth has been made dumb to understand our work. Hey, MC or Senase, I know the way if you buy that's a minimum do. Or say I don't know through your program, but have injection. Okay, I don't know, but through your program, but I have taken some of the injection. No, that's still may try some coil about things. So, I'm said the person, oh, you know, and say, I'm so what panini be dada. na onim enso program na mbre hu se enye ntidie na obeya obetimi de asi anokwa enya akohye nipa ni mawie oye ho hwe ejiji. Please, yeah, I'll try to explain. Okay, I think I've read this one and I was idea baby. I say before we talk to them in kind of messages, video. No, I think these world leaders would like to take over our lands. If not, how could they have an intention to depopulate the world, especially black people, being their target with the creation of deadly virus to weaken our system? How could the president of our land and the ministers insist and allow such vaccines to be injected into our system whilst they know it's deadly? This shows how wicked they are. Indeed, Africans need to wake up, especially leaders of our country, Ghana, Ofa, and Mr. Israel. Keep up the good works. Safo inside Safi for Sukrum. Ha, if I go video, I'm a question. One may be sound.
Martin.
Yeah, third video. Bill Gates want depopulation through vaccines. Third video.
CO2 is warming the planet. And the equation on CO2 is actually a very straightforward one. If you sum up the CO2 that gets emitted, that leads to a temperature increase. And that temperature increase leads to some very negative effects. The effects on the weather, perhaps worse, the indirect effects in that the natural ecosystems can't adjust to these rapid changes, and so you get ecosystem collapses. Now, the exact amount of how you map from a certain increase in of CO2 to what temperature will be and where the positive feedbacks are, there's some uncertainty there, but not very much. And there's certainly uncertainty about how bad those effects will be, but they will be extremely bad. I asked the top scientists on this several times, do we really have to get down to near zero? Can't we just, cut it in half or a quarter? And the answer is that until we get near to zero, the temperature will continue to rise. And so that's a big challenge. It's very different than saying, we're a 12-foot high truck trying to get under a 10-foot bridge and we can just sort of squeeze under. This is something that has to get to zero. Now, we put out a lot of carbon dioxide every year, over 26 billion tons. For each American, it's about 20 tons. For people in poor countries, it's less than 1 ton. It's an average about 5 tons for everyone on the planet. And somehow we have to make changes that will bring that down to zero. It's been constantly going up. It's only various economic changes that have even flattened it at all. So we have to go from rapidly rising to falling and falling all the way to zero. This equation has 4 factors, a little bit of multiplication. So you've got a thing on the left, CO2, that you want to get to zero. And that's going to be based on the number of people, the services each person's using on average, the energy on average for each service, and the CO2 being put out per unit of energy. So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. That's back from high school algebra. But let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, health care, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. But there we see an increase of about 1.3. New vaccines, health care, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
Asem papa aso we bold dodo Bill Gates
That's what you to me.
aso kan asem no phobia ho
Yeah, ko ube hu bi kasa.
Because say utimi yakudro
skani otoro hieni
na sa CO2 no ono ni equation or the amount no say CO2 nyina say carbon dioxide no o say ejina ho ma say ahohye no temperature no wiase hye no ekosoro a the negative effect and eba na je say insurance so bone no and deba na obewie mba bia na